Hi guys, in this video I'm going to talk about how to apply for an innovator visa and get an endorsement. Now the list has just been updated, so we need to have a quick look at the new bodies on the list and also at those who have come off the list. Let's dive straight into it. So you can see here that the list is now as follows. So it starts with the bakery. The bakery endorses bona fide entrepreneurs who qualify for their corporate innovation programs. Now, this is a really good point because some of these programs that the endorsing bodies are running are closed. Others are open to applications. Now, they're to greater or lesser extents closed or open. You can basically see from the updated list that this is still a relatively restrictive route, and in that the government has delegated its authority, put crudely, to say which entrepreneurs can come into the UK or not, to the private sector in the form of the endorsing bodies, the 24 endorsing bodies that are on the list, and it is still 24 on the updated list. So as for this open and closed point, the government has said to the endorsing bodies, if you are applying for an innovator, this is of course of interest to us, applying for innovator visas, it said that you can either run this on an open basis or on a closed basis. And that just means that these incubators or accelerators already have programs. Their business model is often either to have real estate or to take equity in companies that are at an early stage of development and support them in the journey to scaling up, to becoming sizable operations and breaking into national and international markets. Now, I've been, I do have clients and contacts amongst my network who are incubators and accelerators, and some of them will be coming onto the list in all likelihood, particularly three who will be coming onto the list, I think, within the coming weeks. So stay in touch. If you check out this list, which is on my website for my book, and my podcast, I will keep this updated, and any notes that I have or important points which will help you in terms of your choice of which to apply for, I will put in here. Of course, if you do need assistance, I'm a UK lawyer based in London. I'm head of my business immigration team in our London office. I'd be very happy to assist you in preparing an application for an endorsement in the first instance, and for preparing your innovator visa application if you're relocating your business to the UK or setting up something new here. Now, I haven't mentioned the startup visa yet. Now, a lot of the considerations I'm going through here will be of relevance to the startup visa route. But interestingly, the approach that the university, there's a couple of points I want to make about the startup route. So firstly, it's 2 years max that you get in the UK, and you do not get settlement. Under the innovator visa, it's 3 years to settlement, which compares very favourably with the residency programs, other residency programs within the EU. So it's 5 years still to naturalise as a British citizen, but it is only a 3-year lead-in. And I can talk about the criteria for settlement, but they're relatively straightforward if you pass this initial stage. So the key is getting the endorsement. In the book that I'm writing, Reach Abroad, which will be available by the end of the year, the first part of that is actually going to focus on these new routes, on the innovator visa and startup visa, and how you can prepare an application, and also on your other potential business immigration options. If for whatever reason you're not going to pursue these, there are others. So let's go to the next point before I run through the list. Of course, before approaching anyone on this list, I would recommend speaking to me first, or just touching base with me. You can see, and we'll go through the list, that they don't tend to like on the whole unsolicited communications. I think a recommendation is powerful. I have recommended a client who's applying for an innovator visa recently, and that has led to an endorsement. So my recommendation will carry weight with some of these on the list. Now, in terms of support, I think it's sensible if you are setting up in the UK to have support. I mean, my clients have varying levels of knowledge. Some of them have raised funds abroad, have very compelling businesses which are really going to scale and be very big. But possibly low levels of information about the UK market. Now, I'm a lawyer, and so I restrict myself to the legal side of the work. But I do work with commercial consultants who facilitate my clients' entry to the UK and assist with the preparation of the business plan. By that I mean that my clients will have their own business plans. But I think if you're looking to raise funding and you're looking to crystallize your ideas, then some planning can help. I think also some UK accountancy support can help, and I do work with some excellent accountants. So if you want that broader support network, just touch base with me. I'm always happy to have a free consultation with you to hear what your ideas are. Beyond tech is my next slide here. Look, a lot of these guys on the list, I promise I will come to it in a moment, are basically tech companies. But is innovation, this is my rhetorical question, is innovation and the innovator visa restricted to technology? The answer to that, I would certainly argue, is no. And I have, for example, very innovative, creative clients, or clients in the creative sector, including a major artist who I represent. Now, I am speaking with one of with a prospective endorsing body, who's likely to be coming onto the list, which would be the first to operate in the creative sector. And I think that clearly there's a strong relationship between creativity and technology. What the Home Office, I would argue, are looking at here, and what the government is looking at here from a sort of policy perspective with this route, is the innovation economy. It's not just technology. Now, technology might be the easiest way of demonstrating that you are in the innovation economy and that you have a qualifying idea for those purposes, but it's not exclusively that. The other point I wanted to make is that if you may have a business that isn't obviously within the innovation economy, but there might be a component of it or an aspect of it that would meet the criteria. So don't necessarily rule your business out of qualifying for the purposes of the innovator visa if it's not, like an app company, or you're not heavily into science and R&D. It may still qualify, and a lot of discretion has been given to the endorsing bodies, those on the list and those who will be coming onto the list. There's good reason for that discretion. They are the experts. The government says, look, we're trusting you to assess who is a genuine entrepreneur and who genuinely has a scalable business. Many of these, or some of them at least, are, as I say, modeling their business on taking equity in the company. So they have skin in the game. So in a way, it does make sense for those entities that are actually investing into the companies or have a stake in their future to be endorsing them, because that's the strongest form of endorsement. Of course, all of these on the list, it's a precondition of coming onto the list that you've assisted settled or British entrepreneurs. So all of these have a track record, and again, that's a prerequisite of coming onto the list. Having said all of that, I'm going to just switch over to the list. So let's just go through these. You've got the bakery, Bethnal Green Ventures. So that's an early stage investor in tech for good companies, they say, who only endorse startup entrepreneurs accepted onto their support program. So that's an example of a closed program that it's a precondition of being considered for endorsement that you get onto their program. And what I've got coming up in this series is an interview with my professional contact and good friend Wesley, who's going to help you guys with what sort of considerations you need in coming into the UK, and also how you can raise investment in the UK. So I'm excited about that interview. That will be the first interview on this YouTube channel. So that's coming out soon in the coming days. Do subscribe as well for this if you and check out the playlist if you want to get updates on the innovator visa and how to get an endorsement and your other options around this, because I'm producing content on this every day for the coming days and definitely every week going forward. So the next one on the list is the Capital Enterprise. Capital Enterprise will only be endorsing founders from within our community. So again, it's a closed, it's being run on a closed basis. CodeBase, there's little information about. I will do a separate video on that because I do have some information that I have gathered myself. CyLon is interested, they say, in hearing from cybersecurity companies or entrepreneurs planning on setting up an innovative cyber startup. I do have one client who has a cyber security offering, but I can't imagine there's going to be many, so that's quite narrow. Deep Science Ventures, they say apply if you're a scientist or engineer determined to start a deep science company. Again, on these, as I learn more, I'm going to be updating. I'm both going to be doing more YouTube videos, and I'm going to be updating the list here. Invest Northern Ireland. Now this is really interesting because I am acting for a client who is likely to be coming onto the list, and they are based in Northern Ireland as well. And it was noticeable there was no Northern Ireland offering. So I'm pleased to see that Invest Northern Ireland is now on the list, and there is an organisation covering Northern Ireland. I do have a highly respected organisation in Northern Ireland who, as I say, is likely to also be coming onto the list. Let's have a look. Level 39, who I know, they say only endorse those involved in fintech, cybersecurity, smart cities, retail tech, and other globally ambitious tech businesses. Now I know the team there. Wonderful environment there, an ecosystem that they've created. So I couldn't imagine a better starting point if you have a really viable, scalable business for being in Canary Wharf in the heart of the financial sector and having access to that excellent network. If you do want an introduction to them, touch base with me by all means. The next one is MDR Lab. Switch back over to that. They're an accelerator for startups in the legal space. They only endorse migrants accepted onto their 10-week May to July program. So again, another closed program. Great to see someone operating in the legal space on that list. Then there's MedCity, who I also know, and they're going to be endorsing one of my clients. Now, MedCity, they say support collaboration, investment, entrepreneurship, and industry within the life sciences across a greater southeast of England. Now, they're a not for profit, and they have an excellent history, the very good reputation, and I think really outstanding knowledge. If you have a med tech business and you want that framework of support for getting access to both the NHS and insurers and people in that space. Let's just go back to the list again. We've also got the banks, so NatWest, Entrepreneur Accelerator, and Royal Bank of Scotland. Again, I'm going to be getting some more information for you guys on these and doing some more videos on it and more content. Scottish Edge can endorse winners of its biannual funding competition. So again, an example of a closed competition. Only 6% of applicants win. Seedcamp, they say they invest in world-class founders attacking, they say, large global markets and solving real problems using technology. So Seedcamp, again, very well known in this space, in the startup space. And again, I'll be producing some more information about this, because it's unclear whether this is sort of operated on a closed or open basis. The Seed House, they simply say they don't accept unsolicited applications. I think it's again a reason to look for an introduction. Get in touch with me, because I do among my network have people who can introduce. Either I can introduce myself, or I will likely, unless you're operating in something very obscure, likely know someone who I could introduce with an idea to getting an introduction. Tech Nation, they say they focus on entrepreneurs of product-led digital technology businesses and commence work as an endorsing body in September 2019. So Tech Nation is possibly one of the biggest and most respected on this list. And Tech Nation, of course, they also endorse, if you like, for other purposes. If you're applying for an exceptional talent or exceptional promise visa, then Tech Nation will be approached to that end. And I think exceptional promise and exceptional talent are two alternative visa options for you if for whatever reason you don't qualify here. I'm going to be doing a separate video, because I think it would be too much in this one video, about your other options if Innovator doesn't work out for you. You should, in any event, be considering all your options before jumping into this. Techstars is a worldwide network that helps entrepreneurs succeed. It runs 2 accelerator programs in London, Techstars London and Barclays Accelerator. TechX, they say, unique tech accelerator and incubator for global startups looking to transform the energy sector. They say it offers unparalleled funding and support. So again, I'm going to get some more information on them for you guys. The Royal Society of Edinburgh, they say we only accept endorsements from our awardees. Cannot support any individual who does not fall under this category. And then you've got the Ulster Bank Entrepreneur Accelerator, Wayra and Zinc. So a couple of people have come off the list and a couple of people have come on. So we've still got 24 organizations who are capable of endorsing for the innovator visa. Now, one of the points I wanted to say is if you're considering an innovator visa versus the startup visa, you need to have a think through it first. So most of the universities at the moment, and again, I'm going to comprehensively go through them on this channel and in the material that I'm producing for the book, which obviously is linked below. You can check out my site. But the university's approach is to, on the whole, and with one possible exception, is to endorse their own students, only their own students or alumni, recent alumni, so within the last 12 months in some cases, for the purposes of startup visa. Now, if you think about that interpretation approach, which didn't necessarily need to be taken by the universities, it's really quite narrow. Now, they're approaching it in almost exactly the same way that the old Tier 1 graduate entrepreneur visa program was administered. So they are, as I say, on the whole, only endorsing their own students. And I've got some detail which I'm going to do a separate video on how to apply for a startup visa, because I've got a lot of good information on this now. But the key point is they are only endorsing their own students. So what does that mean? It means if you're outside of the UK, or if you're not a very recent alumni, then to qualify, you'd likely have to come onto a Tier 4 visa first, and then switch over to the startup visa. Now, if the startup visa and especially if settlement is the end game for you in the UK, you have dual commercial and residence objectives. Would you really be taking a risk on doing, let's say, an MBA for a year, unless you had sufficient levels of confidence about being endorsed for the purposes of their startup program for the startup visa. And in any event, would you actually want to do that, given that the startup visa is only for 2 years? Now, if you need to, in order to settle, which you do, you need to switch into the innovator visa, why not apply for the innovator visa from the outset? Because if you're not going to get endorsed, wouldn't it be better to learn that at an early stage? In other words, now, before you embark on such a route. So I think the issue here is that when these visas were first initiated, the plan was, you begin on the startup visa and you switch into the innovator visa. But because of this quite narrow approach that's been taken by the vast majority of the universities, it's difficult to see how that's going to actually work for most people. So I would generally recommend at the moment, subject of course to your circumstances, that you apply straight for an innovator visa, given that you're going to have to do that anyway. If you go down the startup visa route, you're going to have to switch at some point. Now, maybe, of course, as these routes develop, the position changes, more options will be open. But it's quite a commitment to venture down the startup route, especially if you have to go via, tier 4 as a student, to then go into to the innovator category without sufficient levels of certainty. Now, you could speak with the university, say, look, this is my business plan, my concept, and what I want to do is, for example, an MBA. If I use that as purely as by way of example, or a very specialist R&D type course of study as a precursor, and that subject to me doing this course, would you, X university, be content to take me on and endorse me for a startup visa? And if the answer is, I don't think the answer is necessarily ever going to be yes, but subject to the university you may be able to get sufficient levels of reassurance about that. And I think it's probably only in those circumstances that you would then be able to go ahead and launch into a tier 4 visa, then go into the startup category. But even then, as I'm saying, you would then have to go into the innovator visa. So I think, in summary, if you're considering, startup versus innovator, the classifications are different, and there's different tests. I won't deal with the differences between them now, but the differences aren't so significant that that you shouldn't consider both. But my leaning would be towards an innovator visa, towards going straight onto that, if at all possible, for your 3 years to permanent residency in the UK. Of course, in this country we call it indefinite leave to remain. And then you'll get an indication either way and make an informed decision on that basis. I'm gonna jump off this video now. I'll be doing more live streams in the coming days and updates on this area. Thanks very much for staying to the end. Click on the link below to check out the website for my book, and I very much look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye for now.